Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is Larry coming to you from beautiful Vancouver, Canada. Today I'm going to go a little off script and give you the 10 most shocking scenes of the Breaking Bad franchise. This is not going to include scenes from Better Call Saul. There will be a second video that will cover off those 10 shocking scenes from Better Call Saul. So sit back, relax, or maybe not relax, because when I remind you of these shocking scenes, it may just make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Listen, I started watching Breaking Bad a long time ago and was super stoked when El Camino came out, and then of course Better Call Saul, which really completed the entire storylines of all the characters, all the main characters that we loved and hated, for that matter. And so anyway, without further ado, let's kind of dive in and start with, and these are in no particular order, by the way, because look, I'm certain that you can pick out 30, 50, 100 shocking scenes from Breaking Bad itself. However, I'm just going to focus on 10 that had really unnerved me at the exact time that I saw them unfold. So without further ado, I've taken some notes here to keep me on track. So the first one I'm going to talk about is, one of the most dramatic, I think, thrilling scenes in Breaking Bad was when Hank was cornered in the parking lot at the shopping mall by the Salamanca twins. I believe they were the nephews of Hector Salamanca, and the shootout that ensued. I think a couple of bystanders took a bullet or two. Hank was unarmed because I believe he had just finished getting in a fight in a bar somewhere and was suspended from active duty or from carrying arms for a period of time. And it was exactly at that point where he was just out sitting in his car, I believe, waiting for his spouse in the mall, where the Salamancas decided to come and get him and put an end to him. So if you remember, he got a phone call, a warning, sort of a warning phone call that he didn't really interpret properly at that specific moment. But you could see him getting a little bit paranoid and a little bit antsy about the situation. And then there it started to unfold. I mean, it was just chaos. Absolute chaos ensued. There was, the scene where he had one of the Salamancas on the back of the car, and he just put it in reverse and slammed it into the car behind, or a wall. I can't remember exactly what it was. And that basically took the legs out from that particular Salamanca. The other one he just shot dead, was able to disarm him and shot him dead. To me, that was one of the most thrilling couple of moments in the Breaking Bad franchise. Uh, I can't say enough about it. I'm missing a lot of details, but that was cool. Number two, and this is not a rank, but it was really Walt's first kill. I believe it was in the first episode. You can fact check me on that. I have no problem with that. I'm just going purely by memory. But when, yes, I'm looking at the picture here, and I'm going to post these as I edit the video. Walt took out his first person, I believe was in the first episode, but it was the guy they locked down in the basement to keep him secure, and essentially didn't really know what to do with him. Walt was very nervous. He was still pretty geeky at that particular point in the series, very near the beginning of the series, and ended up being a very tense series. And I think there was a moment where he saw the plate. There was a missing piece from the plate that he was feeding this kid with, and put it together in his brilliant mind that that piece was going to be used against him. So Walt went ahead and took, I think it was a bike lock that had the guy tied up, took it and strangled him with it against the post that he was tied to. That was pretty shocking. I knew at that particular point that Walt had now, this main character, this geeky science teacher, was definitely capable of upping his game in the violence, so to speak. Okay, another one, yes. A lot of these definitely have Walt attached to them. one of the most disturbing scenes in the Breaking Bad series was when Walt idly stood by and watched Jesse Pinkman's girlfriend, Jane, die from regurgitating her own upchucking while she was stoned on heroin laying on the bed next to Jesse. I believe Walt had broken into the house and was looking for the crystal meth to deliver to Tuco and caught them in bed basically out of it. And, there was a lot of consternation at that particular time that Jesse was using too much. And this Jane that he befriended and became a girlfriend was an addict as well. And that was getting a little bit out of control. So when Walt started to see her choking, you saw that look on his face. It was like he was very troubled by the situation, but then he quickly calculated, like, okay, live or die. And very quickly in his mind, he thought, die. And you could see the struggle internally, the internal conflict that he was going through at that particular moment. But just watching that scene unfold, it was just, it was cringe. It was awful. It was terrible because, in a way, you in the series, I don't know. Disclaimer: I was always cheering for Walt. I thought he was dealt a terrible hand and had an awful wife and all that. Skylar just, kind of grated the nerves, so to speak. But I mean, I was always cheering for Walt, but when I saw that scene, I was like, ooh, that was gross. That was shocking. Okay, the next shocking scene was really tied to this. Was the two airplanes colliding in midair over Albuquerque. And that was really a result of Jane, the deposed now, the now dead Jane. Her father was an air traffic controller for the Albuquerque International Airport. And when I believe it was his first day back to work, and what happened was he was really he dropped the ball. He got distracted. He was still very sullen, very sad, and for whatever reason, there was a couple of miscommunications, unfortunately, by him that led to the two airplanes crashing over Albuquerque, and of course, debris landed everywhere, including in Walt and Skylar's pool, because there was a lot of episodes that started with a teddy bear with a missing eye floating around the pool, and we were like, what the heck is that? But that answered the question to those openings that they were teasing out, Vince Gilligan and Peter Gold. So that was another shocking scene that is part of this list. Now, okay, let's see. What else do I have here? Yes. This I believe was Walt's second kill, and it had to do with sending Jesse Pinkman took over production of distributing the product for the group, for the partnership, and they decided some of Jesse's guys decided to go into someone else's territory. I think Walt had coached them, hey, we're bigger than everyone, and sort of had these grandiose pep talks with Jesse Pinkman. So Jesse made the decision to send his guys over into enemy territory. They were scoped out a little bit by the enemies. Anyway, another drug dealer group decided to snuff Jesse and his boys out. I believe they got to one guy, I forget his name, but when Jesse went to extract revenge, he went to the location. He was armed. He was nervous, and I think he did a bunch of drugs before he was actually going to commit the act of possibly taking out one of those rival drug members, or two of them. And so anyway, make a long story short on that one, it didn't unfold any way which I thought it would unfold, which would be Jesse put into a situation where it was a life and death situation. No. Walt comes to the rescue again, and he drives his car into one of the drug dealers that was going to take out Jesse and flattens him. And I think, if memory serves me correct, there was a second person, or either it was the first person and he wasn't dead from the car collision. Walt got out with a gun and blew his head off. on top of it. So that was pretty damn shocking. So at that particular point, you're starting to think, okay, Walt's, obviously up in his violence game and doing things on his own terms and really sort of transforming into that Heisenberg character. Okay, the next scene that I have pulled up here. Oh, yes. Lovely scene this was. Uh, as you know, Gus Fring was a big part of the better part of 2 seasons, and what a great antagonist that they added to the show. Gus Fring, very calculated, very cool, calm, and collected, master chess player in his craft, and essentially a competitor for Walt, or a potential partner, but would diminish Walt's empire building illusions. And so basically, that went on for, season and a half minimum. But the shocking scene that I'm referring to, that was the end scene of Gus Fring. Basically, Gus was regularly visiting Hector Salamanca just to torture him emotionally about how he was dismantling the Salamanca family, the Salamanca empire, and basically killing them all off one by one by one by one. Now, Lalo in Better Call Saul obviously didn't make it to Breaking Bad, so we know what happened there. Gus got to him as well. So I would imagine by this point, there wasn't a whole lot of Salamancas left. And so, shocking scene for me was Walt had scoped out the place a couple of times, tried to blow up Gus in his car, parking at the hospital. However, Gus magically, through some kind of sixth sense, walked away from the car that was wired with explosives. So, a couple of days later or a day later, he hooked up an explosive device in Hector Salamanca's room. Not only did the room blow up and people die and debris everywhere, but Gus Fring coolly walks out of the chaos, out to the hallway, straightens out his tie, and then the camera just kind of shifts sideways, and he's missing half his face. Oh man, that was like sort of supernatural. But then again, Gus was sort of a supernatural character with superpowers, evil superpowers, if you will. Okay, let's get moving here. Oh yes, this is a very disturbing scene. I don't know what episode this was, like off the top of my head, but it was a couple of seasons in, and it was the train heist. So essentially, Walt partnered with the company, a logistics company that was from Germany, that was transporting large quantities of the chemical that he needed in order to up his cooking. So he made a deal where he would do a train heist. Him, Jesse Pinkman, and what was the guy's name? Todd. Uh, would basically take care of the heist, and then Bill Burr, the stand-up comedian, was part of that scene as well. And so they orchestrated this incredible train heist. This was like a nail-biting episode. It was unbelievable. But if you remember back to the beginning of that episode, it showed a little kid. And of course, all the openings of these episodes, some of them were meaningful to the plot line or the story that was to unfold, but a lot of them weren't. A lot of them were not related whatsoever. But in this case, it definitely was related. So the opening scene was just this like innocent kid out in the desert riding his mini bike. I can relate to that. I had a mini bike when I was a kid, and I used to love driving it through the forest and all that kind of stuff. So hey, the kid's up to just playing around and whatever. And you'll even remember that he stopped and he saw a tarantula crawling along, so he gently put it in a bottle with little air hose on top, and I believe he put it on the inside jacket pocket, and just like a sweet kid, a sweet innocent kid. So what happens? The train heist is done. They're successful. They're celebrating. They're kind of standing under the overpass at that particular point, sort of like whoo, and they're like laughing. They're kind of celebrating the win. Up comes the same kid at the end of the episode riding his mini bike, and he stops the mini bike, and the three kind of turn and they look at this little kid, and the kid just waves like really innocently to these three guys. Todd pulls out a gun that he wasn't supposed to have, mind you, blows the kid's head off. Psycho. I really did not like Todd's character. After that particular scene, like obviously he played the character brilliantly. I'm not getting down on the acting skills or anything like that, but the character of Todd really grated me. After that scene, I couldn't stand him. So that's another shocking scene. That one was horrible. I think it took me days to recover after that. It was just terrible. Another shocking scene. Yeah, this one was later, definitely in the later seasons of Breaking Bad, and that's when Skyler attacked out and out in the house, attacked Walt with a big butcher knife, and basically tried to off him, right? And I mean, she was getting the upper hand, and that was pretty shocking. I mean, Skyler was in a bad place, a dark place. Obviously, here she was, with a new infant, and you know, her other child who, was. Obviously had a disability, and they really had their hands full, even though they were getting rich and all that kind of stuff, which is good if you're doing it for a purpose that's going to fulfill something pleasant and contributory. But this was all about Walt's ego at this point, and Skylar just had enough. So she just basically attacked him with a big cutting knife. Almost got him, almost got him. So that was a pretty shocking scene, I have to admit. Okay, what's next here? What do I have here? I don't have my reading glasses on because I want to show my eyes in the video, you see? Yes. um, Another one that I found quite troubling and quite um, horrible, and the last one is the segue into this one, is that when Walt actually abducts Holly from Skylar from the house, and basically takes Holly into custody and drives the entire city crazy. There's a citywide, probably a statewide manhunt at that particular point out for Walt, and that I didn't know how that was going to end. That was a really weird episode. But Walt ended up actually taking the baby at the end of the episode at night, and he laid him down into a fire truck's seat and hit the button and alerted the firemen, women, what have you, and they went out and they recovered the baby, and Holly made it home safe. So those are the shocking scenes that I can think of right now. I'm sure there's more. I've written a few more notes here, but hey, let's just stop. I think it's a great place to stop this. The next video, I'm going to do the most shocking scenes of the Better Call Saul part of this universe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Normally, I would be putting up a song reaction video at this particular time, but I thought because of the enormity of this universe coming to an end in this past week, I thought it'd be kind of cool to share with you some of the shocking scenes that I found to be that personally just really affected me in a big way, and in some cases took me days to recover from. And that's how invested you get with these characters in a show like this, which is an absolute brilliant show. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and if you liked anything you heard today, please go ahead and subscribe, tap the notifications bell. The algorithms aren't very kind to my channel because I'm all over the world making these videos, and I think the algorithms just doesn't like that. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to see the next video, which should take me about 2 or 3 days to make, and that'll be the most shocking scenes of Better Call Saul. Have a great weekend.